Yeah, we are all gathered here today for the session on writing of manuscript for the 9th Annual Research Symposium. This session is designed to assist paper submitters to preparing their manuscript to meet the standards expected by our review panel. Joining us today are Professor Jagat Manatunga, the review panel members, uh, and our additional general managers, Mr. Anatunga and uh, Mr. Danesh, and our water board staff, and all abstract submitters. First of all, I like to take this opportunity to congratulate Professor Jagat Manatunga on his recent appointment as the Dean of the Faculty of Engineering at the University of Moratuwa. We wish you all the best, all the success, sir. Uh, so as per the agenda, I cordially invite our Additional General Manager, Water Reclamation, Mr. Danesh Gunatulekar, to welcome and introduce the program. Over to you, sir.
Good evening. First of all, I would like to welcome Professor Jagat Mandutunga, newly appointed Dean of the Faculty of Engineering, University of Moratuwa, and the Review Committee Chair. Then Review Committee members comprising Professor Nadishani, Professor Lalit, Professor Tushara, Professor Uday Kumar, Dr. Silva, Dr. Ayomi, Dr. Madhusha, Dr. Vasanta Ilangasinghe, Dr. Veragoda, and Mr. Jayasirvardhana. And our Additional General Manager, Policy and Planning, Udayan Ranatunga, the focal point of the International Water Conference Secretariat, then research paper submitters, then NWSDB staff. Before I start about the introduction, I just want to highlight that NWSDB is reaching its 50th anniversary 1st of January 2025. So it's a remarkable juncture that we are reaching. So therefore, we want to have this conference success and do it in a much better way than the previous one. So to start with the introduction, the Water Board has requested to submit the abstracts for the 9th Research Symposium, and we have received a remarkable amount of abstracts, 104 abstracts, and the review panel went through each one of them and identified that all abstracts are reaching the acceptable level. So therefore, NWSDB invite all researchers to submit full papers for further review. With the increased number of papers, what we are planning to do is, depending on the quality of your full research papers, we are going to increase the opportunities to present and publish your researches. So our aim is to give 60 platform presentations as oral and 20 poster presentations. And if there are good quality full papers, other than that, all standard papers will be published in the symposium proceedings. So that is our plan. So to give more opportunities for the good technical papers. So therefore, you have plenty of opportunities to present and publish your papers. And we strongly encourage you all to submit full papers for the consideration of the review panel. And for international participants, especially our neighbors from the South Asian region, we are, we have given previously accommodation and airport pickup to Sevas and some other facilities. And we are hoping to do that this year as well. Therefore, we encourage all participants from neighboring countries to submit full papers, as well as our participants from the Sri Lanka. So that's all I think I need to explain about the welcome and the little introduction. So over to you, Eranda, to continue with the rest of the program.
Thank you very much, sir. So we will go for our main program now. It's my pleasure to cordially invite Professor Jagat Panatunga, the Dean of the Faculty of Engineering at the University of Moratuwa and the Chair of the Review Panel for 9th Annual Research Symposium of NWSDB, to deliver his lecture. Over to you, sir.
Yeah, thank you, Engineer Randa, for the introduction and best wishes. I'm presenting this today as the chair of the research review panel of the NWSDB. We have been doing this together for the last, I think, more than 5 years, I suppose.
Yes,
and Engineer Danesh also has been very helpful and have been cooperative, together with Dr. Vasanta Ilangasinghe, who was the former DGM. And we have a very positive thinking review panel with us this time also. The submitted manuscripts will be reviewed by this expert research committee, of whom the names were mentioned by Mr. Engineer Danesh just now. So without going further into these broad discussions, I have prepared a presentation which has 54 slides, fairly long, but let's try to finish this as soon as possible. This is somewhat of a very informal presentation. If you have any doubts, any questions, anything to add on to what I say, please stop the presentation, raise your hand, and we can have an effective, productive discussion in between what I say. So please be comfortable enough, and also if you have anything, any clarifications, anything to add on to the discussion, please raise your hand, and I will definitely give some chance for you to get connected with the discussion.
And before starting, Professor Manatunga, Eranda, can you do the recording so that if some participants missed this important presentation?
Yes, we already arranged, sir.
Yeah, already recording it. Okay, that's good. So again, a very warm welcome to everyone, including the higher management, the senior management of the National Water Supply and Drainage Board, and all the participants, potential authors who would submit manuscripts for the symposium. And we have gone through the abstracts as Engineer Danesh and Engineer Randa mentioned. We got 104 abstracts this time, and very glad to mention that all the abstracts, though they were from different study themes, are all acceptable, very well written, and we are very eager, and we are waiting for your full submission. And today, the objective of this presentation today is to explore how and to share my experiences with you on how to write a good research paper, right? So let's begin with the title. The title of your research paper or the research should be a clear and a precise description of the topic. Right? Topic is what you are planning to do, right? The theme of your research. So sometimes a title can be a phrase, it can be a sentence, or it can be phrased as a question, or sometimes as a hypothesis. Depends on your writing ability, writing skills. And you can put your thoughts together to make the title very impressive. The title, you have to understand that is the first thing that the readers might see, note, and read, right? And definitely your title should be attractive because it's your paper's first impression. You know, the first impression should be very positive. If the title is not attractive, nobody would bother to read through the paper, right? So they might not just go through the paper without reading the title first, right? So title is the first thing that a reader would pick to decide whether to go through the paper or not. Not only the readers, but also the reviewers. If the title is not attractive, the reviewers also might not bother to go deep into the content, right? So a good title, a well-formulated title, has to be the title has to be very clear and precise, and it has to describe the essence of your topic, right? So you have to start with something very attractive, right? You have to first put the most important words towards the beginning of your title, right? Don't make it a sentence, make it a phrase so that most important words come towards the first half of the title. Because anybody would read a sentence from beginning to the end, right? So if the first few words are not attractive enough, then they might not bother to read the second half of the sentence. That's very simple, right? So start the most important words to grab the attention of the reader, right? And second, you have to limit the length of the title, unless otherwise it's absolutely needed for you to express what you want to say, right? So a good title might not have more than 10 to 15 substantive words, right? And you have to limit the use of ambiguous or confusing words. Always try to use technical words are okay, right? But when it comes to language, there are different levels of difficulty in using the words. Don't pick the most difficult word, which are not very much commonly used. Pick the most commonly used words in English, in the English language, and connect the technical words that you want to express to make your title clear, right? And so that's and it will avoid ambiguity, right? People might a reader might not refer to a dictionary to find the meanings of certain words, right? So use very simple words in the title, unless otherwise the difficult words are essential, right? So the fourth bullet point here is you need to suggest a relationship between variables which supports a major hypothesis. The major hypothesis, some of the keywords should be in the title, right? And limit it to about 10 to 15 substantive words. Unless otherwise, you need to have a longer title. And do not include words like study of, investigation of, analysis of, because what you are doing is a study. What you are doing is something, you do analysis, investigation, right? So these words are all redundant, right? So don't use these phrases in the title. Now, if you are looking at a modeling study, you can say modeling of say pollution dispersion. That's okay, right? Unless otherwise it describes your methodology, then don't use these redundant words. And you need to make sure that that you use correct grammar and capitalization, right? Now, this capitalization of words is again an art, right? Sometimes some journals or some reviewers would not like you to use the title. What do you call it? In Word you have this title case, right? Each word has a uppercase letter as the first letter of the word. But you don't use that, it's difficult to read, right? Always try to capitalize the first letter and have all lowercase letters for the rest of the title, unless otherwise the author instructions would instruct you to have a title phrase as the preferred style, right? And all nouns, pronouns, verbs, adjectives, and adverbs that appear between the first and the last words can be capitalized if needed. And secondly, the subtitle. Now, most of the I think a majority of authors would like to have a subtitle. Subtitle is always preferred to describe the focus of the research, focus of the written work, the paper, right? Subtitle, you usually have a second part for the title with a hyphen, right? Sorry, with a colon, the two dots, right? Because the subtitles might explain or provide additional context, and it adds substance to a provocative meaning or imaginative title. And it qualifies the temporal scope of the research as well as geographical scope of the research, and focuses on investigating ideas, theories, or work of particular individual. Right now you have to, if you ever want to have a subtitle for your for the main to support the main title, that is, you are providing extra context, right? Now think of the subtitle as complementary to your main title, right? Qualifying the scope, right? So they can explain the theoretical framework. In most cases, when you have a review paper written, you have the title, then you have a colon and say a case study, right? Now, for example, now I have a series of papers with me on Science Direct. Now, when I do a literature review on Science Direct, I think about 30 to 40% of the papers have a subtitle, right? I will read some of the subtitles, very simple ones. It goes like this. There's the paper called Global Supply Chain Drivers of Water Use in Sub-Saharan Africa, taking Ghana as a case study, right? Taking Ghana as a case study is a subtitle. And now it gives geographical scope for the research, right? Now, another title would be Assessment of Community Water Supply System Sustainability, a dual framework approach. And now the second part, a dual framework approach, is a subtitle. It gives the how they investigate the study, a dual framework approach, right? Now, another title would be Controlled Drainage with Sub-Irrigation Systems, reducing water supply by automatic control. Now, Controlled Drainage with Sub-Irrigation Systems itself is a title, right? But the second part, reducing water supply by automatic control, gives the particular focus for controlled drainage with sub-irrigation system. The second part is very important to narrow down the focus of the main title, right? So with these subtitles, always think about a subtitle if needed to give a very clear picture to the reader what you are going to focus on as the title, right? So once you write the one, now I am going by the physical arrangement of a manuscript, right? Manuscript. And after the title, you have the abstract, right? How are you going to write the abstract? Now that abstract contains the most important part of your written work, because the abstract should be the snapshot of the very essence of the paper, because the abstract, again, after the title, any reader would go through the abstract, at least the first few sentences of the abstract. The reviewers will definitely read the abstract first, and if the abstract is not well written, that is the end of the review, right? In most cases, the abstract will give some reason for the reviewers either to go through the entire manuscript, to review it and give recommendations, or immediately reject the paper, right? So when you now abstract, even though I described it now here, abstract should be the last part of the paper that you write. First write the first draft the entire manuscript, and the last thing that you would do is to write the abstract, right? But I'm going by the physical arrangement of the paper, so I will describe what abstract is and how the abstract should be formulated, drafted, right? So the typical kinds of information found in most of the abstracts can be divided into 7 parts. Now I have given you 7 parts here. All these 7 parts should be found in a typical abstract, right? You can't omit any of these. All these 7 have to be present in the abstract. You can combine a few 1, 2, 3 together, or 3, 4 together, or 3, 5 together, the way that you write the abstract and your style. But these 7 components, these 7 kinds of information should be found in any abstract, whatever you write as abstract, right? Now I will give you 2 examples of these written abstracts to explain what these are. First, you have to first write the context or background information for your research, or you have to describe the general topic under the study, the specific topic of your research. So this is sometimes some researchers refer to this as the thesis question, the thesis statement, right? It gives the context for your research, as that is the first sentence that you do, right? The second, the central question or the problem statement, the research need. Why do you want to conduct this research? It is the number 2, it's the justification of what you do. Because research, you don't duplicate things, you don't repeat things. You are trying to address something novel, something others might not have done, or something others might have done partially, right? You are trying to fill a research need, a research gap, right? So you have to identify the research gap, why you are doing this study. Then the third is what's already known about the question, what previous research has done or shown. And this is the summary of the literature part. Without knowing what others have done already, what others have done previously, you will not be in a position to identify a research need. You need to have a thorough knowledge, at least a partial knowledge of what others have done in the past, without which you will not be able to define, you will not be able to identify a research gap, a research need, without which you will not be able to formulate your research question, right? So when you have identified the research need, then you write that the main reasons for conducting the research, the need, the rationale, or the goals of your research. Sometimes a very in short, you refer to this as the aims and objectives of your research, right? Then you write your methodology, right? How you have done the research, and then describe the main findings, results, and arguments. And finally, try to describe the significance or the implications of your research. What have you found? The conclusions, right? So in some cases, as I told you, some of this information is implied rather than explicitly stated. When you describe the context and the central question, sometimes you might answer 3 or 4 together. In most cases, most writers will combine 1, 2, 3, 4 together in a couple of sentences and have the first 1/3 of the abstract written to cover 1, 2, 3, 4. In abstracts, you might not have this as 7 checklists. You write the abstract and see whether these are included in the research, right? Now let us see this example first, right? So these are the 7 attributes, 7 parts that are essential to be included in the abstract, right? Now I have given you a sample abstract here. Try to see whether you can pick these 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. Now it says the advection equation is one of the most commonly used models in environmental fluid dynamics. Despite this, there exist very few analytical solutions to this question for the case where the velocity field is spatially varying, right? In this work, a class of solutions to the conservation form of the advection equation is defined. Example solutions are developed, right? And then the first and second order upwind methods are used. It is found that the upwind method, blah, 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 for most case studies, while as is the case for non-divergent velocity fields, the first, second order upwind methods have some serious drawbacks. So this is an abstract which I very randomly picked to show you where these 7 elements are, right? Now see the first question. The advection equation is one of the most commonly used models in environmental fluid dynamics. This is the thesis question. This is the area that this particular person is studying on, doing his research on, right? And it will have the first part covered, right? So advection equation. So this part is a context or the background information, the general specific topics under study, right? And the second, despite this, there exist a very few analytical solutions. This is the research need. He identifies by looking at the previous research, he finds out what previous research have already done, and he identifies, or he or she, whatever the researcher, who it is, the researcher is looking at what others have done and found a research gap. There exist a very few analytical solutions to this equation for the case where the velocity field is spatially varying, right? Now, that is the central question or the statement of the problem. What's already known about it, what previous research have done, and of course, the main reason for conducting this research. 2, 3, and 4 are all here. Despite this, that is the gap, right? So 2, 3, and 4, the central question, what is already known and what should be done, the reason for doing everything, the goal, everything is presented in one sentence here. And the bulk of the abstract here from the next sentence onwards is the methodology, what they have done, right? So in this theoretical paper, this is a theoretical based paper. Their methodology development is the most important focus here. That's why they have devoted at least 50% of the length of the abstract here, right? And then their main findings and the significant the implications are given as the last part of this, right? So up to here, while as it is the case for non-divergent, the first, second order upwind methods have some serious drawbacks. That is a finding of the research. And it is found that the upwind method with either the slope, blah, 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 is what they have found, right? So when you take this abstract, all these are present, but don't ever expect that all these 7 have equal lengths of written statements. No, it's not. You can see 2, 3, and 4 are combined as one sentence, very short write-up, but it's very clear. But the second half of the abstract, because the authors might want to highlight their methodology, which is the original piece of work that they are trying to report here. They have described it in a relatively longer effort. And the last part, they have combined the findings, the arguments, and the significance as just one very long sentence, right? So that is how you have to formulate the abstract. You have to first write the abstract and then edit it, revise it, revise it, revise it, and see whether all these 7 elements are included, right? Now here you have another abstract, the second example. Tropical forests disappear rapidly because of deforestation, right? Now can you see that is the context, right? It gives the background for the study, right? So this study, just looking at the first half of the sentence, you know, the paper is going to look at this rapidly disappearing forests, tropical forests, and deforestation. You can see, you know, there are lots of keywords there, and that is the background. And this word here is very important. The word which says yet. This yet, the previous the previous abstract also had this very beautiful phrase here, despite this, right? So he's contradicting something that has already been described. This, despite this, this is the deviation from the already known. This gives a very sharp focus in the written work, right? To highlight the direction of this research. Now here also they have this particular word yet. Yet it is a very powerful word to use here. Now, although the forests are disappearing rapidly because of deforestation, yet they have the potential to regrow. Now, he is not looking at how the deforestation is done. He is looking at the potential to regrow on abandoned lands, right? So this is what he has now his central question, what is already known, and now you know he's looking at how forests regrow naturally on abandoned lands, right? So again, he has combined the central question, what has already been known, because others might have studied the regrowth of deforestation. And now he is looking at abandoned land. His focus is also given here, right? So it's a just one simple sentence. You have 4 parts that out of the 7 here, right? Then the longest part here, we analyze how 12 forests attributes recover, blah blah blah. Their recovery in interrelated using 77 sites across the tropics. So it gives the analytical methods or describes the methods that they are using, and the bulk of this now, in contrast with the previous abstract, now their focus is the observations, the results. They are highlighting the results as the bulk of the abstract. Right? They have taken about 60% of the abstract to describe their observations, their findings, results, and arguments, right? And lastly, they give their conclusions, their findings. Sorry, they're the significance of the implications, right? So this is these two abstracts are it's just two examples for you. They are very well written. I've taken from previously published papers, and they should stand as two very good examples for you when it comes to the formulation of the abstracts, right? Now, see, soon after the abstract, you have to highlight certain keywords from your research, right? So when selecting keywords, think about how your audience might search for your paper. Now you are attaching keywords not for the sake of completing your research paper. Always, when the research papers are uploaded to databases, the keywords are the switch that enters a potential searcher into the realm of the search engine, and the keywords will always uh, will help assist finding the paper. So you have to look at the most important keywords that you need to include in your paper, right? So keywords always should reflect the core of your topic, while you can include any related terms or synonyms, right? Uh, one advice that I always give to any potential writer is to avoid redundancy of keywords by including the words that already you have included in the title. Because in database searches, the title is also included, and therefore you please don't repeat what you have already included in the title. I mean, then these keywords become redundant, right? So always try to include words that you have not used in the title, right? It's just an advice, but most of the researchers, they repeat the same words, keywords that they have used in the title, right? You have to think from the point of view of the reader, what keywords would be the reader would search, right? If you are looking at water supply systems, always try to see how you can, what keywords that would help the readers find your paper for them to read. Usually keywords should ideally be about phrases of 2 keywords. Now, another mistake, another blunder that writer might do is to include, now when you say keywords, don't limit to just one word. You can use phrases of about 2 to 3 words, sometimes 4 words, but 4 words might be a little long. Always use 2 or 3 words as the keyword, right? So even though it says keyword, it doesn't mean that you need to have only single words. You can have single words. You can have a short phrase of 2 words or 3 words, right? So the keyword should contain words and phrases that suggest what the topic is about. Also include words and phrases that are closely related to your topic. Also use variants or terms or phrases that readers will likely to use. The full forms of shortened words or acronyms and abbreviations should be included as well, right? Usually, we are asking for you to include about 5 keywords, but you can go up to about 8, but it might be a little too many, right? Just settle somewhere around 4 to 5 keywords. Always, now these 2 are very important here. Always arrange them in alphabetical order. And always try to avoid the words that you have already included in the title. So these are just general remarks about the keywords, right? And then the most important part, the first part of the paper is the introduction of the paper. You have the title, the abstract, the keywords, and then comes the introduction. If you please go through this with me. The introduction serves the purpose of leading the reader from a general subject area to a particular field of research. this is very important. Your introduction has the information, whatever you write should start with very general facts, general information, and then lead the reader from a very general subject to a particular field of research. And you have to establish the context of the research being conducted by summarizing the current understanding. That is the literature review that you do. Don't ever think that literature review is a summary of what you have already read. You have to connect what you have read with what you are doing now, right? So that is the meaning of the summarizing current understanding and background information about the topic. Please state the purpose of the work in the form of the hypothesis. That is the objective that you are trying to look at. You have to state your question, research problem, and briefly explain your rationale and methodological approach, highlighting the potential outcomes of your study can reveal and describing the remaining structure of your paper. Let's go into a little bit of details of the introduction. The introduction, now it's like a roadmap that must answer 4 questions. There are 4 questions that you have to answer, right? These answers will guide you to write the introduction. First, ask yourself, what was that I'm studying, right? You have to start from very broad, then zoom into your specific topic. That is how the good introduction is written, right? It should answer first, what was I studying? What was I studying? What was the basic idea? What is the area that I'm studying? Start with very broad things. Then the second, why is it important? Why was this topic important to investigate? Now that is very important. Now that is where you have to have the knowledge of what others have done in the past. The literature review. Literature review has to be done after a comprehensive literature search by reading and then connecting ideas from getting ideas obtained from these previous work. Then once you go through the previous work, this previous work can be technical sessions that you attend, the discussions that you have among your colleagues, because I know that most of the papers are technical in nature. They are not fundamental research. They are not this scientific research that most of the scientists might do. Most of you are engineers and you always tackle with applied research, technical research. So your prior search might be just by way of discussions that you have with your colleagues, your superiors, right? Or whatever that you have studied, and you can hypothesize yourself with arguments. If you are good at physics, if you know what these basic this mechanics, the principles of mechanics, then you can always deduce your own way of thinking, right? So when you can answer this the second question, why was this topic important to investigate? It is a synthesis of what others have done. Then you connect what others have done to the research need, and from there onwards, you are enthusiastic in looking at this particular topic to find certain things, right? These certain things are the objectives that you will describe, right? And the third question also again is important, which comes from again the literature review or your acquired knowledge, the knowledge that you have gathered from reading from others. What do we already know, right? Because there should be a knowledge gap to conduct research. If you know everything, there's no point in conducting research any further, right? So when you describe what we already know, and when you have an objective, you can see the gap, right? This is what we want to see, and this is what we already know, right? So if there's a gap, that is called the research gap, and that is what we are going to fill in. And that would be the objective of the study, right? right? So that is what did we know about this topic before I did the study? That is the literature review. And the last, how will this study advance our knowledge? How will your study advance the knowledge, right? So this is the contribution, right? This is the hypothesis that you will develop. This is the aim that you are trying to achieve, right? So if say when you know how this study would advance our knowledge, then you have to have a methodology developed, right? So the methodology development is based on the introduction that you provide, right? For a reader, once the reader goes through your research paper, the introduction part, he should be able to identify all these 4 questions, right? And then let us look at what this the literature review is all about. Now, literature review is a survey of scholarly sources on a specific topic, right? You have to do a survey, right? That is, first you do the literature survey or the literature search. And then once you have all these papers, you read them, which will provide you with an overview of the current state of knowledge on that topic, because you are analyzing and evaluating relevant studies, right? You read, you connect the ideas, you analyze them, evaluate, and you will have an overview of the current knowledge once you go through these papers, right? Once you have sufficient knowledge, the literature review will point out the gaps of existing research, right? As well as looking at what's already known, you have to see whether you can see to point out which has not yet been known, right? If you can find out what is not yet known, that will provide you with a justification for your research, right? So when the third point is therefore very important, because it will tell you what to do to fill this gap. This what to do and how to do will guide you to formulate a methodology, right? So the literature review, when you read the literature review, once you identify the gap, you have to find out how you can formulate your methodology, right? The literature review is very important because of certain reasons. It will explain the background of your research. It will demonstrate why a topic is significant. It will allow you to discover relationships between different research areas, or different research studies and ideas, and identifies major themes for a research, and identifies critical gaps. It will help you to find the research need, and it will allow you to discuss further on the research question, right? The purpose of the literature review, again, is fourfold. The literature review allows you to demonstrate familiarity with your topic and scholarly content, right? This scholarly content or the scholarly literature that are concerning your research, right? And now when you read through, it will allow you to engage with the work of the other scholars, which is, of course, a very important part of research and writing. You have to see what others have done. You have to read what others have done. And you can connect yourself with the others and contribute to advancing the knowledge, right? And the second, now as you might do a literature review as part of an attempt to develop theoretical framework and the method. Sometimes when you don't know what to do with the study, whenever you don't know how to do certain things, you read through and see how others have done similar work, right? Say, for example, if you want to look at the process of sedimentation, right? And if you do not know how to set up experiments, you go through research papers and see how others have studied about sedimentation, right? Because there might not be textbooks which will guide you on such things. You have to read the papers to see how others have done similar work, right? Always when you do research, always try to position yourself in relation to other researchers. You make connections, right? So when you make connections and when you see similar studies conducted somewhere else, try to see how others have done similar work and try to adopt those methodologies. It's not copying, right? It's not imitating, right? Now, in research, there are things which are regarded as best practices, right? Now you have, when you do chemical analysis of water quality, you have this standard methods, right? Now, when you refer to standard methods, you are not copying or you are not stealing ideas from others, right? So these are all good practices. Whenever you position yourself in others' work, you will find connections which are very important. Always try to extract such connections and see whether you can use similar ideas in your work, right? When you do your literature review, these similarities, connections are very important. And always when you do research, always try to find a research gap, identifying a gap in the research. That is very crucial to express yourself, the originality of your work, the value of your own research, the importance of your work, all depends on the gap that you are trying to fill in. I have certain examples here, very well written introductions with literature review. You can see this is about the geotechnical engineering and nothing related to water supply or water practice. But this is, I think, I suppose most of you are civil engineers who you can see this. I don't want you to understand what is given here, but see this author, how they have authors, how they have formulated the introduction part. In both geotechnical engineering practice and academia, the problem of slope stability has been a subject of investigation. They're starting with very broad ideas, right? You can see very broad ideas, but suddenly they focus, narrow down into these slope stability. Now he's looking at limit equilibrium methods, LEMs, of slope stability analysis. Now others in the past have done similar work on slope stability analysis, which are based on methods of slices and assumptions. Assume predefined slip surfaces are widely documented in the literature. So now this is, if anybody wants to see who has done such work, these are the two references. Now this word although, now this is two sentences, two short paragraphs. All of a sudden the authors are now trying to deviate from what has already been discussed in the previous two paragraphs. Although LEMs are still considered as design tools for their simplicity, they are subjected to several disadvantages. Can you see how they have identified the research gap? And this research gap will immediately give them the opportunity to define the research need and the objectives, right? Now, then once they identify the research gap, they're trying to justify it. Over the last 2 decades, the displacement-based methods became increasingly popular. The first called the strength reduction method and giving the references. A brief description is given in the next section. So this is the formulation of the next couple of paragraphs. Now, this is what they have done as the literature review. Can you see how they have formulated the literature review part here in the introduction, connecting what you are planning to do with what others have done? Always remember, literature review is not a summary of what others have written. You have to read, understand what they have written, and then put that into writing, your own sentences here, but wherever it is needed, you can refer to others, right? So this is how the literature review has to be reported in a research paper. Now I have given here 1, 2, 3, 4 examples here again, how the literature review has to be done and how they have to be cited, right? So please have a look at these. I'm not going into details because we have very limited time, right? Now, whenever you have the introduction written, towards the end of the introduction part, you have to identify the objectives, aims and objectives of your study. You have to be realistic and concise with your aims and objectives. You have to make sure that you write this very prominently so that the reader would understand what you are planning to do in the study. I mean, your aims and objectives always should connect with theory and practical applications. Otherwise, there will be no use of reading the paper, right? Your objectives will always guide the reader to find how you have approached to obtain the observations and results, how you have used the past literature, how you have done the methodology, how you have done the data collection, analysis, and also any challenges that you have faced, right? You have to make sure the aims and objectives are very brief. And if you have more than one objectives, these objectives have to be interrelated. If they are disconnected, if they are standalone, then you will have difficulty in writing the paper or conducting the research. Objectives have to be realistic in terms of what can be done in the project, and also it will provide you and your supervisor or whoever you are working under with indicators of how you intend to approach the literature and theoretical issues, access your chosen subjects, how you are developing a sample framework or strategy for your study selection, how you are planning to develop a strategy and design for data collection and analysis, and if you have any ethical problems, if you have practical problems, how we are going to deal with such things, right? And also you have to make sure that at the conclusion of your project, at the end of your project, you have to answer. You have to come back and see whether you have achieved these objectives, right? So now you can conduct a study and you can have 4 objectives, but it doesn't mean that your paper should contain all these. Your research and paper can be no, the paper cannot be very different to what you are doing, but the paper can contain only part of what you are doing, right? You can always dissect, you can always divide what you are doing into smaller subsections. Your paper can just focus on one subsection, right? Please try to report only the objective that is related to that particular subsection in this paper, right? So forget about all the other objectives, focus on just one particular objective and write the paper. Yeah, but yeah, if you want to report everything that you have conducted as a subject, as a research, and if you have 4 objectives, yes, of course, you can describe all the 4 objectives in just one paper. It depends on what you want to say, what you want to tell the readers about, right? Now, these are 3 examples of how you report the objective in the paper. The main aim of the present study was to conduct blah blah blah. Then the second part, besides to prepare SSAP map using internet. So he has 2 objectives. He has put them in one short paragraph. Right now, another example here in this context, we propose for modeling hard rocks with natural discontinuities. 2-dimensional stochastic fracture traces are embedded. The aim is to understand the effect of rock bridge inclusion, right? So he has given the background, and the last sentence gives the aim and objectives of the paper. And now, again, I reiterate this. This is the objective of this particular paper. It can be as same as your whole research study, or it can be part of your study. Right. The third sentence here, Now, after describing certain background information, now here they say this study attempts to use these rules for structural configuration, blah, blah, blah. For this purpose, fuzzy provisions are used. So this is the objectives, and he is describing the methodology also here very succinctly, very summarily, so that the reader is prepared for the next section. The next section would be materials and methods. Materials and methods, right? So I will distribute these with you. I have given you 2 examples. I will just go through just one example to show what I want to show you. Now here, the abstract is given here. The introduction, how the introduction has been formulated. Please have a look at it. It's very well formulated question. And now here, when you go through the introduction part, now it says reason. The recently some studies have evaluated. So he's referring to previous studies and trying to identify the research gap, right? These methods have been used to compare in comparison. So he's trying to identify a research gap. However, overall, the appropriate method should be chosen recently. He's now trying to look at the entire previous work, and then he's now trying to, all of a sudden he has this wonderful word here. However, now he's deviating from what others have done, and now these authors are trying to identify the research need and the objective. Right now, he has lots of arguments. On the other hand, here, on one hand, on the other hand, for example, nevertheless, thus, so he's trying to say, put the case very long, and he's trying to describe the research need. Although all these studies have been done, there are gaps, right? He's giving examples, and this was nevertheless, thus, on the other hand, all these will give arguments to make a case for these researchers to identify the research need, their objectives, and the aim, right? Then the last part, against this background, our objective of this paper is to blah, blah, blah. So you can see the end, the last part of the introduction should be to identify, to describe the objective of the paper. And then comes the methodology, right? So I have given another example. Please have a look at that example as well. I'm not going into details of that example. Going back to the presentation again. Now, then comes the materials and methods. Materials and methods, you have these slides say, in fact, the method section will ensure that your research can be trusted and replicated, right? Because you have to adopt good practices, you have to adopt standard practices, you have to adopt scientific methods. You can't adopt your own way of doing things because others might not believe, others might not understand, others might not follow what you are doing, right? So you have to very carefully write down what you have done. But now, doing the research is one thing, putting that into writing is another thing. Or if you, I mean, you might have followed all the standard methods, all the accepted methods, but you have to write that in the paper so that the readers will understand, the readers will accept what you have done as correct, right? If not, they might not trust your observations, right? So, and also the meaning of writing the methods again and again in your paper is to make sure that if somebody else is interested in doing similar research, for them to replicate your method, right? So if you have learned from what others have done, your paper also should teach others how to do things in a proper way, right? So you are passing on the knowledge to another set of readers, right? You have to very clearly outline how you have collected the data, right? That is the first point. How was the data collected and how was it analyzed? And you have to make sure that the writing should be direct and precise and written in the past tense, because the research has already been conducted. So avoid unnecessary details. Only provide what is sufficient for others to follow your process. And most of the reviewers find that the researchers put a lot of effort in describing methodology beyond what is needed to be included in the paper. Right? Please make sure that your materials and methods are very provided in a very summary form, but at the same time, it is sufficient for the readers to understand what is in there, right? So materials and methods, you must explain how you obtained and analyze the results. Readers need to know how the data was obtained. Methodology is crucial because an unreliable method produces unreliable results, and it will lead to misappropriate and misinterpretations of the findings. And your methodology section of your paper should make clear that the reasons why you choose a particular method or procedure by referring to standard methods, for example. A reader might want to know that the data was collected and generated in a way that is consistent with accepted practices. The research methods must be appropriate to the objective of the study, and the methodology should discuss the problems that were anticipated and the steps you took to prevent them from occurring, because these research methods are not always very straightforward. Sometimes you do trial and error, right? You have to describe them accordingly. And lastly, it is important to always provide sufficient information to allow others to use or replicate the study. That is important, because if you are following what others have done, why not others also might follow you, right? So you have to describe your methodology very clearly. And an effective written methodology introduces an overall methodological approach for investigation of your research project problem, indicate how the approach fits the overall research design. The materials and methods will describe the specific methods of data collection that you have done. It will explain how you intend to analyze your results, because the method of analysis is also part of methods. The materials and methods will provide background and rationale for methodologies that are unfamiliar for your readers. It will give them clarity of what you have done, and it will provide the meaning for subject selection, and will address any potential shortcomings of your research. Always avoid irrelevant details, unnecessary explanations of basic procedures, because basic procedures, for example, when it comes to sample collection, for example, you don't have to say that you took the bottle, you inserted that in the river, you collected the sample, you close the bottle, you put that in the ice pack, brought it to the laboratory. Don't explain any of those, right? Problem blindness is that now you know the problem, but you still you don't describe them, right? Always try to be frank in what you are doing. And now in the materials and methods, don't ever do another literature review, right? And don't always make the materials and methods another source of information, because you can refer to other sources and then avoid any unnecessary details in writing, right? You always refer to already published papers, and you don't have to describe the methodologies again. Then once you have the materials and methods described, you have the results section. The results section will present your findings, and you have to present your findings without any bias, right? You can use figures, you can use charts, tables to illustrate your points, right? And the bullet point 2, the results section should simply state your findings. You have to say what you have observed, right? Don't try to bluff. Don't try to misguide the reader, right? The third point, the result section should always be written in the past tense. And the results, the section describing the findings is particularly necessary because when you include data generated from your own research, you have to interpret them, right? So you have to keep the results very logical and systematic. You have to arrange your findings in the order that they were analyzed. Don't sometimes some researchers have the habit of describing everything that they have observed. Always try to pick the most important parts of your observations or your results and then describe. Don't try to describe all what you want, what you have observed, right? Always try to relate with your objectives, right? The results that you have to present are only to prove the hypothesis or to justify the objective, right? Don't go beyond that, right? So once you have the results, now the result section can be formulated in two ways, right? Sometimes some researchers, they have the results and discussion put together. Results are the observations, discussions are the explanations of the observations, right? Now, when you do applied research, it's always easy for you to look at results and discussion together. You first describe what you have observed and then you try to interpret them, right? Sometimes some researchers might find it easy, especially this fundamental research. Sometimes this natural research-based studies, they might want to describe results first and then a discussion separately, right? It's up to you to decide whether the results and discussion can come together or can come as two parts. It's your way of writing, your style of writing, and depends on the nature of your study, right? So this is a very congested slide, which I will leave you for you to go through, right? It's not difficult to understand. I'll just skip that. And always in the results section, you have to place your figures, tables, and charts within the text of the results, or include them in the back of the report as annexures if they are too long, right? If you have large sets of results, tables, figures, you can include them as appendices or annexures if they are not if they are not needed for you to describe the results, right? But don't duplicate, right? In the text, you have to number all the non-textual elements, right? Tables, figures, charts, maps. You can adopt any of these tables, charts, figures, maps from, you have to number them sequentially, right? If you want to place anything at the end of the report or end of the paper, please make sure that you guide the reader very clearly, right? You can say see Appendix 1, see Annex 1 or so, right? And regardless of the placement, non-textual elements are all the figures, charts, tables, maps, pictures, everything. They have to be numbered consecutively. And you need to have a caption for figures and tables. For figures, usually you have the caption at the bottom of the figure. For tables, you have the caption at the top of the figure. Figures and charts are treated as equal non-textual elements, right? Now, I have given you, we will circulate this material with you later on. I have given you some instructions for graphs and tables. please go through these checklists when you have tables and figures drafted. They are taken from Chicago Manual of Style. So this is a checklist, a figure checklist. It's check the instructions to find details, design the illustration. All figures included in the paper should be necessary for the understanding. Figures should be simple, clean. Always double check to see if the data have been plotted correctly. All figures should be mentioned in the text. Figures are included in the paper, blah, blah, blah. So it gives you a checklist for you to check. You have another checklist to see whether all the tables are also that you have included have all these elements checked, right? Please have a check on that. Now these are some of the very short suggestions that I have for you. Now, these are very simple figures. Now you can see the figures are very complete, right? I have taken these from published papers. You can see you have two axes. The x-axis now here they are labeled properly. You can see the y-axis has been say given the axis title. X-axis have a title, and it is the scale has been given and the numbers are very clear. The text is large enough for anybody to read through. There's a legend with distinct colors. For these bar charts, you have these error bars. Right? So when you have low risk and high risk, as you know, this chart has two sections: age group, low risk and high risk. And you can see this is very well formulated, right? Even if you take this line graph here, for example, you have axis titles. The scale of title are very prominently given, and any demarcations are also given. And these bullet points are very distinct. You can see they are very clearly, and the legend is given very clearly. Error bars are given. You can see it's very well drawn figures, right? Now, whenever you want to have charts or figures, please have these as examples, right? Whenever you want to have flow charts, see the clarity of these flow charts, right? And whenever you have maps, always make sure that you have the north indicated, the scale indicated, and all these are given as legends so that it's complete, right? Now, these figures and charts have to be complete by themselves, right? They have to have basic elements completed, right? Whenever you have a table, the tables have to be formatted very clearly, right? You can see these two tables, a bit complicated, right? You have all these now here, so you can see the justification of these sub elements in each row, and these column headings and how they are separated, and how these the digits are aligned, and how these footnotes are given. Right, so this is you can see now in any tables in research papers you are discouraged to have vertical lines. Both these tables, they have only the minimum number of horizontal lines that are needed. Right, you can see now, even though this has only very few horizontal lines, this is very clear. You can always see how this information have been organized, right? So if you want to number the columns, you can do, and the line spacings, and the column spacings and how these numbers have been justified. You can see the 1000 column is justified here, and there are footnotes arranged alphabetically, and these error bars are also provided. Now, these are two examples of very well formulated, very well structured tables. Please make sure that your figures and tables are also well formulated as such. Then comes the discussion part of your paper, right? Whenever you have results, you can do your discussion, right? Discussion is where your creativity and critical thinking will be in focus. Whenever you have observations, you have to have a discussion on that. What is the importance of these observations, right? In the discussion, always try to discuss the significance of this in terms of research outcomes, research findings, right? It is always good if you can connect this with findings of others, right? Because when you make connections, that is the research at its best, right? It gives a prominence for your research as well when you connect your findings with what others have done. At the same time, if you can give prominence to what you have found as the importance, why you think that these results are so important. That is what the discussion is all about. And at the same time, you can, when you describe the importance of what you have found, always try to discuss the implications of what you have found, the limitations, and how alternative methods can be used to do the same work. And also the last part, whenever you have the results concluded, you always would like to directions would be, right? So that is what I have put at the end, right? The discussion should always explain how your study has moved the reader's understanding of the research problem forward from where you left them at the end of the introduction. So you do certain part of your work, and then if you see that there's some work to be done in the future, you can give them as recommendations, further work, future work. But it is also should be part of your research. If you can suggest future work, that is also very important. That is also part of the discussion, right? So in the discussion, you often consider the most, it's often considered as the most important part of the research, because sometimes some researchers might just go through the introduction and the discussion part, because the discussion part is very interesting if it is well written, right? The discussion section, the second bullet point, is where you explore the underlying meaning of your research. This is the section where you need to present the importance of your study. This part of the paper is not strictly governed by objective reporting, but rather it is where you can engage in creative thinking about issues through evidence-based interpretation. Right? This is the most important part, where your writing skills might be very important, right? This is where you infuse your results with meanings, right? Without a meaning, nobody would consider that your research is worthwhile going through again and again. But if your discussion is good, they might want to read the paper again. You need to reiterate the research problem. You have to explain the meaning of the findings and why they are important. Relate the findings to similar studies, connect them with previous studies, consider alternative explanations of the findings, acknowledge the study's limitations, and make suggestions for further research. Try to include all these in your discussion. And don't overinterpret the results, right? If you overinterpret the results, it loses the beauty of the writing. Don't write two results. Now, don't ever repeat the results again in the discussion. If there is a case, combine results and discussion and put them together, right? And avoid unwarranted speculation. Sometimes some researchers might speculate things, predict things, which are not practical, right? Beyond what you have done, but don't do that, right? Now, when you have a staircase, climb one step at a time. Don't skip steps. That is a very basic rule in conducting research. One step at a time. Then once you have the discussion written, then you have to conclude, right? Don't ever think that your conclusion is again summarizing your results. No, don't ever write anything that you have observed. Don't anything that the results won't come here. What are the implications of the research? Why does this research matter? What are the implications of my research? What observations are observations, they are not findings. Your interpretation of your observations will provide you with the findings. Try to summarize the findings here. There is the synthesis of your results, right? Reinforce the significance of your research and leave the readers with a clear takeaway, right? That this clear takeaway would be the conclusion. Mahesh, like taking me like that. Right. Right. So this is the clear takeaway would be the conclusion, right? Now there is the entire paper starting from the title, then the abstract, keywords, introduction, materials and methods, results, discussion, and the conclusions. You can have recommendations if you like, where you give further directions for the next step to be done, right? Now, when you write in the paper, you have to include citations, right? Citing your literature accurately is very crucial in writing, right? Without citations, it sometimes will lead to plagiarism, right? Now, in our writing, you have to follow the APA style or the Chicago style, right? Now you have to understand that proper citations is very important here, because the reviewers might not correct what you are writing. It's your obligation to put the formats correctly. Right. Now pay attention to the specific, they are not rules, but they are just guidelines. You can see if your citation has just one author, what you say is, now if this is the sentence, Sri Lanka is an island, within brackets you can say Silva 2001. This is a single author citation. Now, or else if that is the sentence, and at the end of the sentence you can leave it here. But if you put Silva as the first person, Silva 2000 stated that Sri Lanka is an island. Silva within brackets you put the 2000. I'm sorry, it has to be again 2001, whatever it is, right? If you have two authors, Silva and Pereira, it is the two names are connected with an ampersand or AND. And you have a comma here. This comma is very important. At the end of the name, there should be a comma. But here you don't have a comma here because you have a bracket. But here you have a comma here and a bracket. Silva and this ampersand can be replaced by AND. Pereira, comma, here. Silva and Pereira, 2000, stated that Sri Lanka is an island. So you have Silva and Pereira, no comma, just brackets. If you have more than two authors, you first indicate the name of the first author and use the words et al. Sri Lanka is an island, Silva et al. Et al means and others. You'd have to have a period, comma. This comma comes from here. Yeah, you have comma all the time, right? But this period here, the full stop here, is part of et al. Et al is an abbreviation, a Latin abbreviation. Et al, full stop. This comma to separate the name of authors and the year. But when you put that in a sentence, Silva et al, full stop, 2000 stated that Sri Lanka is an island. Please make sure that you properly cite the sources. Right. Usually, Now, whenever you have more than one source, right? You can't have that as the first person, right? So Sri Lanka is an island. If you want to state two authors, Silva 2001, Pereira 2001, you can see Silva, comma 2001, semicolon, Pereira, comma 2005. Whenever you want to separate two authors, you have to use the semicolon here. A comma to separate the author and the year. So you can't have more than one author as the first person. So this is out. Whenever you have more than one author, Silva and Pereira, comma 2001, semicolon, Fernando et al, full stop or period, comma 2008. If you have more than one publication by the same author, if this Silva et al has many papers published in 2001, Sri Lanka is an island. Silva et al. 2001A, Silva et al. 2001B. So because they have two papers published in 2001, you would denote that as A and B. Whenever these the same authors have published multiple papers on the same year, you can have that as the first person. Silva et al. 2000A, B stated that Sri Lanka is an island. So this citation of sources, this is the style that you need to adopt. Please make sure that you adopt the correct style, right? So whenever you want to any further information, please refer to APA style. The web reference is given here. Whenever you have a web reference, sorry, whenever you go to this APA style, you have a large list of referencing that you need to do. If you want to know how to refer to a conference paper, please refer to this as a journal paper, refer to this. If you want a conference paper, you have conference papers listed here, dissertations, books and references. So please go to this APA style, APA.org, style grammar guidelines, references, examples. So for bibliography, please follow the styles given in this section, right? Now this APA style, now this usually what they have is author, comma AA, and author, BB, and year, title of the article, name of the periodical, or this is for journal article, the volume number, issue number, page numbers, and the DOI number, right? So this is the format that we want. Please make sure that you understand author. This is, for example, Silva, comma, AK. You can say comma here, period here, and comma. And Pereira, comma, B dot, right? No comma here. Within brackets, year, full stop. Title of the article, regular fonts, full stop. Then name of the periodical in italics, comma, journal volume number, no space here, within brackets, issue number, comma, space, page numbers. You have an N dash here, full stop, and then the DOI number. This is the reference type that you need to adopt in your list of references, right? For journal articles, for example, this is an example. Grady, comma, J dot S dot, comma, comma, M dot, comma, Morino, comma, G dot, comma, Perez, blah, blah, Jelinek, comma, J dot. Within brackets, you have to have a space here. Within brackets, 2019, stop. Space, the name of the article in regular fonts, full stop here. The name of the journal in italics, comma, space, issue number, volume number, no space there, regular fonts, comma, space, page numbers, you have an N dash, not a hyphen, but an N dash, full stop, and then the HTTP number. Either you can have the hyperlink or without hyperlink, right? So this has to be referred to as Grady et al. .comma 2019. It is published in 2019, right? This is just an example taken from these, right? Please have a look at these connections. For a book, it is a single author book. Jackson, LM dot year, close brackets, full stop. The title of the book, the edition. This is in italics, space, within brackets, the edition in regular fonts, ed dot, close brackets, comma, the publisher, and then the DOI number, right? So you have all the examples. If you go to this website, and this is the first page. If you want to see how you want to how you have to formulate, how you want to format journal article, it's here. Ebooks, and then you have edited book chapters, and you have reports and grey literature, conference presentations, dissertations, and unpublished work, whatever they are. These are the examples that are given. Please follow those examples. This is for a book chapter. This is for a edited book chapter. And the next would be the format for the manuscript. I think Engineer Aranda might send you the format that is needed. The format that we adopt is the ISL format that are proposed for technical papers. We have been adopting this for the previous years as well. We will send you this suggested format for the template for the paper. Please follow the guidelines given here. It's book Antiqua 11. The font size is 10. This the title is 18 book Antiqua, centered, bold, name of authors, abstract, keywords, the introduction. Now all these spaces have to be according to this format, right? Line spacing, the 2-column structure, and how the author's affiliations are given at the bottom of the page, and headings and subheadings, their font sizes and presentations, and how equations have to be given, and so on. So we will modify this a little bit more, and we will share this with you. And the length of the paper, usually, I think, again, Engineer Randa and the R&D will tell you the length of the paper. Engineer Randa, would you kindly tell us the length of the paper that you have decided for this time? Last time
Yes,
it was 6 to 8.
Maximum 8 papers.
Okay, so the maximum, it would be 6 to 8. Maximum would be 8 pages in length. And typically, the number of words would run around 4,000 to 6,000, right? It has to be 2-column. Font styles and sizes are given in the template. Headings and subheadings, placing of figures and tables, equations, and citation of the bibliography. Please pay attention to these, right? And I have included a general guideline to follow. The tensors in writing research papers. Please have a look at this guideline. It is from University of Melbourne. The tensors for the abstract, for example, the abstract should be in past tense. The results should be in past tense. Introduction, It gives you a lot of information how the methodology methods part have to be formulated, the results and the discussion and the conclusions. Please have a look at this document. It's very simple, very well explained, right? So don't make any mistakes in this. And also when it comes to punctuations, please make sure that you do correct punctuations also, because these punctuations are the ones that the engineers might not be very careful enough. So for example, this small hyphen here will make the entire the meaning of the entire sentence different. I saw a man eating fish, or I saw a man eating fish. Two different meanings. The only difference is the having a hyphen here, right? Now the second sentence, this is a very popular sentence given to emphasize the importance of hyphens. A woman without her man is nothing. The meaning, what is the meaning that you can get from this first sentence? A woman without a man is nothing. The second sentence, if you have two commas here, a woman without a man is nothing. But if you have a colon here and a comma here, a woman without her man is nothing. Right? So you can see you can change the meanings of the sentences with the same words, same arrangements of words, but having different punctuations. Use these punctuations, hyphens, commas, colons, full stops, everything very carefully. Now, whenever you want to go, go into details of style, now this part 2 of the style here. This is from the Chicago Manual of Style. There's a published textbook on Chicago Manual of Style. You can find this in any library, or it is available online here, right? But unfortunately, very recently they are charging a small amount of money if you want to refer to this. But some parts are still available. If you want a grammar review, a punctuation, how to use spellings, the names, terms, and titles of work, numbers, abbreviations, all these styles are described here. This is a very comprehensive manual. If you have money, please try to purchase this book. It's not very expensive though. Or else subscribe to this online offer and then have a look at it. So these are some of the books. If you have access to them, please always try to use these books, which will be very helpful for you for your writing. And always try to refer to ISO 31 and ISO 1000. These are old ones. These were published in 1992. But now they are superseded by ISO IEC 80,000 series published in 2009, right? And all the quantities and units should conform to these ISO standards. Math symbols, equations have to be written, conform to 8002. If I give you I don't have just a moment. No, I can't access. I don't have internet access. I'm sorry about that. Right now, please refer to if you have access to these. Where is it? If you have access to ISO 80,000 series, either one or two, please have a look at them. It is a very comprehensive standard for using quantity design units and also math symbols. Please try to use those in your writing. And with that, ladies and gentlemen, I conclude. Thank you very much for your attention. And remember, now writing this research paper is not just about reporting your findings. Always tell a story that you want to inform the readers, because most of the readers are engineers. They would not like to have very theoretical sections written in long sentences, right? So try to inform your audience what you have done, what you want to tell them. And I sincerely hope that this session might have helped you to get an idea of what the organizers would want to have as your paper. So please submit your paper before the deadline, and we will come back to you with comments. Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen. I took a long time, I think close to about 2 hours. If you have anything to discuss, it's time. I can remain in the forum. And if you want to add anything, it's time for you. I'm sorry I didn't give you any chance for any discussions in between. If you want to discuss anything, it's time. We can also get engaged in the discussion. Thank you very much for your time.
Yes, sir. Thank you very much for your comprehensive and lengthy but very descriptive, very clear lecture on this manuscript writing.
Eranda, give me 1 minute. I want to thank
Yes, sure.
Professor. Professor, I'm Ranatung, additional GM, PNP, Policy and Plan. Yeah.
Yes.
So I was listening to you. I just a little bit late, and I was at another meeting, and I was listening to you that around more than almost 2 hours now. It's very useful, and also now for the listeners, that the researchers, that we have a lot of research areas in our organization. No one has done any HR research, and also we have NRW and a lot of research areas in our organization. So the people can do their work in the water quality and also asset management, and a lot of things are there. So anyone can get the data from the water board, and need not to go to the other organization. We have a lot of data. They are free to access those things. Therefore, I'm asking all the researchers and get our own data and do it for this organization. And also that Professor, so I have to thank you very much that you have done a wonderful job, and this is we have to thank you very much. Thank you. And also I have to congratulate for you that you have been a dean of the Morato University Faculty of Engineering, and your time, and you have spent 2 hours for us. Thank you very much for your valuable.
Thank you, Mr. Ranatunga, for two things. First, inviting others to get connected with the water board, because I know that you have vast sets of data which are still unused, and I think if anybody needs to approach the water board, I think this is the correct time, because now they have a very high spirits in sharing this data and doing collaborative research. Any researcher, I think it's a very good move that you are openly inviting others to get connected with the water board to conduct research on already available information, because most of the researchers find it difficult to find data sometimes, or sometimes they might have to invest a lot in resources, especially time. Collecting data involves time and money. When the data is available, I mean, data is not free. You have to get engaged with the water board, and with the very positive collaboration, they might agree to share. It's a win-win situation for researchers. You save a lot of time, and money. At the same time, the water board can effectively get the data used by or data analyzed or interpreted by researchers. I think it's a win-win situation. Thank you, Mr. Anthony, for that invitation, and also thank you very much for your your congratulatory message. And I'm willingly participating in the water board activities. In fact, we have been engaged. We've been connecting with you for the last so many years. I'm doing this willingly, voluntarily. Thank you very much for inviting me anyway.
Eranda, what are you?
Yeah, if anyone has any problem, you can ask or you can text.
And
Thank
I
you
also
very much.
want to thank Professor Manatunga. Thank you very much for the long presentation and very comprehensive one. And definitely the 104, abstracts that were submitted, most of them will continue as full research papers. Thank you very much on behalf of Water Board.
Thank you,
Thank
Judan.
you from Bangladesh. I am Murad. So your presentation is very much helpful for us. So we can took help on your prescriptions, means these guidelines. And yes, thank you very much for passion here. And from our sides, we are trying to maintain all the things. If we face any types of problems, then we will come back and head-to-head discussion by WhatsApp or any other way, mail. So this is again thanks the resource person, means the presenter, guideline, and also the who are organizer. Thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you.
If possible, please share your guideline in the group.
Yes, I will share today's video and other guidelines in our group.
Okay. Thank you.
If no other comments or clarifications, we can wind up today's session. So I think you all get a very clear and comprehensive understanding in how to write your research paper. I would like to extend my heartfelt gratitude to Professor Jagath Banatunga for accepting our invitation to serve as the chair of the review committee and his effort in reviewing all the abstracts by himself, giving comments for each paper, 104 papers. It's really hard work. And for conducting today's session on manuscript writing. Sir, your insights shared in such engaging and informative manner have been invaluable. Thank you very much, sir.
You're welcome.
Yes, sir. My sincere thanks goes to our review panel members joining today's program and actively participating, and you have a lot of work to do in future. I also wish to express my appreciation to our Additional General Manager, Water Reclamation, Engineer Danesh, and our Additional General Manager, Policy and Planning, Engineer Anatunga, and all NWSTB staffs for their contribution for today's program. To all the paper submitters, thank you for your dedication and participation in this symposium, and some overseas participants also. And I want to remind you that you have a deadline. You have to submit your full paper on or before 15th December 2024. And if you have any question or any clarification, please feel free to put a message in our WhatsApp group, or you can contact me with my mobile or WhatsApp number. So thank you all for your engagement in this research activities and putting your abstract in our research symposium. So we will, in future, we will get together and we will do a wonderful work to our country, our world. So thank you very much.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Good night.
Yeah. Good night. Thank you.